All right, just to give you a little context, what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that's really high. You know, when you're down in the bottoms, springheads are everywhere. They're a dime a dozen, and obviously an animal can drink water wherever they want, but you know, those bottom springs, they're really only going to get hit once every now and again. I want to find something that's going to get hit over and over and over again repeatedly throughout the year. So when you get up high, these springs become a lot less common. So I want something that's just going to draw them in. Now when we get up to these higher elevations, a lot of times the best springheads that you'll find, they'll be on flat ground, which will usually be a bench or, you know, somewhere you got some compounding topography. Now, the other thing with that is they're natural travel corridors, so the animals are going to be traveling through, but when you can find a nice decent springhead in that travel corridor, and there's also food there, man, dude, it's going to be a killer setup. So, all right. So we got a main lead right here running up toward the peak of the mountain. I'm off the side of it. Here's an old logging road. It's got a fairly beaten trail. And also, over here, we've got a bench that's also running up the side of this lead. And right up at the top, there's a big saddle. So you've got 3 little paths that an animal can take, and they're all going into this one funnel. All right, we're just below the saddle. There's a little spring right here. Now, this isn't really the ideal spring that you want to find. If you look right here, there is one little trail that leads to it, but the biggest issue with this thing is there's barely any water coming out of it, and it's like March 20th. This is middle of the wet season, and if that's all the water it's kicking out during the wet season, you know, during the fall, October or so, it's going to be dry. There's not going to be any water coming out of it. So that's one thing you need to keep an eye out for, is the amount of water that comes out. All right, big saddle's just right up there. Look how thick it is down here. All these little saplings growing up. You can't really tell a whole lot right now. As soon as the leaves come out, this is going to be super thick right here. So you've got the main lead, you got the bench, and the logging road. They all tie in right here in this saddle. And this bench goes over the saddle and keeps wrapping around the other side of this knob here. So let's get up there. All right, we're here. Got a big old hog wallow right there. Look at the amount of water coming out of this spring. Even during a drought, that's going to be holding water. But yeah, these spring heads that you find on flat ground, they're always going to be a lot bigger than something you'll find on steep, you know, like a big ravine. But we got a big old nasty white oak right here. I mean, nuts are going to be dropping in the water. So as far as convenience, it's not going to get any better than this for the animals. Take a look right here. You got old rub trees. On the bottom of this tree, it's all muddied up from the hogs. When they come out of the wallow, they'll be covered in mud and they'll scratch up against the tree. And then the bears, oftentimes they'll scratch the same trees that the pigs do. So there's an old scratching post. Bottom of this tree's covered in mud. Another scratching post right here. You got a trail coming right here. There's a trail coming behind this holly bush. And then there's a trail following this bench. And another one coming off of the peak of this mountain. So you got 4 trails all coming together right here on this one spring. So this is what happens when you have feed, you've got cover, and then you've got flat, easy travel terrain, and it ties in together with other terrain features. So this is a major travel corridor. That springhead's just down there. Look right here, we got us a big old bear bed, and this is very common behavior for them. They like to have a little bit of a slope, and then they'll lean up against these trees that kind of holds them in place, and they always just leave like a little matted down spot right here. But these little flat spots look pretty common, so one of the best ways to tell if this is a bear bed, whenever they lay down, 90% of the time they like to scratch whatever tree they're leaning up against. I don't know why they do that, but it's just something I've noticed over the years. There's some more right there. So yeah, they just kind of lay on their back and they'll just reach up and scratch the tree like a cat would on your couch. Something I've always found really interesting is whenever you've got an old log on the ground and the bark starts peeling off, whenever the bears step over them, their hind foot will often leap behind these little claw marks. So it doesn't really mean anything in particular other than bears are using this route to travel, but that's just something, one more thing that verifies that you're on the right track. Check it out. Nice big springhead. I dug it out and dammed it up a little bit. Nice big flow of water. Alright, so we got a lead coming up that ties into this little ridge right here. Trail coming down. There's another trail going up to the top of the peak there. And this is the bench, little micro bench. There's a trail going right through the middle of the bench. And then there's another trail going across the rim of the bench, like the lower tier of it. And it connects to a lead that goes back down into the next valley. So yeah, you just got all these different terrain features that come together, and then you've got like a bench that connects it all. Money. Great travel corridor, and of course, great water source at the same time. You can't beat these.